When looking at new releases for classic systems, there are typically genres out there which are underserved by hard-working developers. One of the biggest ambitions for me has got to be the humble racing game, specifically those using a faux 3D vanishing point view. However, for those rocking the Spectrum next, there is an antidote to hand with the release of Bikers, an arcade-style racer which puts you in the mood for some two-wheeled thrills. This is Beyond the Scanlines, a series focusing on interesting games on classic computing and gaming platforms. Bikers comes to us courtesy of Cavern Games, marking their debut onto the next scene. It takes its cues from many a classic arcade game, as you'll take to one of 5 courses: North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and, surprisingly, Oceania, to race through a series of stages and beat the clock to the finish line. You can totally see where its inspirations come into play as you bring up the course selection screen, which offers a very super hang-on style way of selecting which course you'll start racing on. You may think it's just a clone, but once again, things play out quite differently once you hit the track. Each course consists of approximately 5 stages, all offering their own dastardly set of twists, turns, hills, obstacles, and riders to negotiate in order to clear the checkpoints before running out of time. Crossing each checkpoint adds precious seconds to the clock, and also updates the progress meter, showing how far into the race you are. One twist Bikers adds over its inspiration is that on completing a course, instead of the game just ending, you'll be taken to the course selection screen and free to pick a new course and to continue racing on to earn even more points. Now, speaking of points, Bikers offers quite a unique scoring system. With most arcade races, your score will continually tick up, and the rate this happens normally is keyed into your speed. With Bikers, your score will only start counting up once you cross 250 kilometers per hour. Though this means the scores you earn are going to be significantly lower than in other racing games, I kinda dig it, as it means the scores are far more relatable once you get to the end of the game. Something which is worth noting is Bikers only offers a single high score table. No matter which of the courses you'll race on, once it's game over, you'll be entering your name into this one table and one table only. Something I was a little disappointed with is that this isn't saved onto your SD card. It's not the end of the world though, but it's kind of a modern convenience which I kind of really missed as I was playing. But honestly, if you're used to no scores being saved in classic Spectrum games, then it's one feature you're certainly not going to miss here. But let's get back to the racing. Each course offers its own graphical style, from the cityscapes found in Europe to the deserts of Oceania and the mountains which are featured in South America. They also feature their own unique music to go with that. Now, this does go against the typical trend of arcade races, which feature both selectable soundtracks prior to racing and the palettes and scene setups changing as you progress through, though it does mean all the courses look and feel quite distinct from each other. As you would expect, the challenge does slowly ramp up as you progress. Most importantly, in order to make it to the end with time to spare, you really and truly need to master avoiding both the other riders on the course, but the obstacles which are placed on the side of the road. Now, colliding with other riders isn't necessarily fatal. They will slow you down, and this will put you at risk of being below a point scoring speed. On the flip side, collisions with the scenery will throw you off your bike, and it will eat up quite a few seconds getting back on the road and back up to speed. In fact, there was one occasion whilst I was playing where I swear I didn't collide with anything, yet I was still thrown off my bike. It's something I found a little unsettling because, especially based on my experience with other games where you could skirt the edges of the road that bit closer and still not really collide with anything. I should emphasise though, it's not probably something which will throw you off in the long term, as it's about rethinking how you tackle those corners, whether it's a case of trying to take a different line through them or possibly slamming the brakes on earlier, adapting to these courses is not really a monumental challenge to take up. Which, if anything, truly makes bikers compulsive in quite an old school way. You'll want to have plenty of shots and attempts trying to master these courses to see if you can complete them all in turn. Over time, it leads to the true test for a biker's master, taking on all 5 back to back and making it all the way to the end in a single run. Though, as it stands right now, for me at least, I'm certainly nowhere near ready to consider taking up that challenge, but that's the joy of a game like Bikers. Being able to work your way up at a pace you prefer and tackle that challenge when you are well and truly ready to take it on. All of this in my eyes makes Bikers an experience well worth adding to the library for any Spectrum Next owner, or Spectrum Next owner to be. It brings an arcade style experience over to the machine and offers a great sense of speed and challenge for anyone who is after that kind of experience. It's also a great showcase for showing off what the Next is capable of. Even more so when you realise it's been put together entirely using compiled Next Basic. The smoothness of the road visuals, along with the scaling of other riders and trackside objects, is an absolute technical marvel. It's smooth, fluid, and is quite impressive. Now, as with many other recent releases for the Next, you'll find it available both as a physical run in limited quantities alongside a digital download which contain all the files you need to just copy onto your Next's SD card. Regardless of which way you wish to go, you can find the necessary links on where to buy it in the video description down below. Which now brings me to the end of yet another video. If you happen to enjoy this slice of modern throwback action, do consider pressing the thumbs up icon on the video and maybe tell your friends as well. It might sound trite, but a personal recommendation from a friend through word of mouth can be incredibly helpful for getting more eyes and is genuinely quite appreciated. If you've not already, consider subscribing to the channel and yes, turning on those notifications, especially if the idea of more chilled explorations of games new and old for classic systems sounds right up your alley. As always, a thanks goes out to the channel's Patreon supporters. Their continuing support is what makes this all possible. And if you'd like to join them in helping out what I do, please do check the video description for the necessary details and links. Finally, and most importantly, thank you for taking another voyage beyond the scanlines.